Hello everyone, and here we have a new story. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics and the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail, broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published once every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now let's go! Hello, I want to tell you my story. I am 35 years old and my wife is 31 years old. We met 10 years ago when we worked in the same company. My future wife was married. I was young and stupid, so I didn't care that she had a husband. When I saw my wife, I fell in love with her at first sight. At that moment, I was living with my parents. I started taking care of her, giving her flowers, gifts, paying attention, and so on. In general, I did everything to make her pay attention to me. She reacted positively, always smiled at me, and showed reciprocal signs of attention. She immediately warned me that she had a husband, but that didn't stop anyone. I often invited her to cafes and restaurants. She agreed after 2 months of my courtship. After our meetings, everything went on as usual, and we fell in love with each other. She and her husband had a very bad relationship, but when I entered their life, the relationship between them became even worse. As a result, her husband found out that I was taking care of her and kicked her out of the house. She moved to live in her apartment. I was there for her and supported her, helped her through the divorce. I helped with money and paid for repairs in her apartment. At that time, we already had sex in a serious relationship. I got her pregnant. Before that, she and her ex-husband could not have a child. Our daughter was born and everything started to get better. We moved into a rented apartment because our family got bigger and we needed more space. In general, we lived and raised our daughter. After a while, I finished the renovation in my apartment and we moved out of the rented apartment. In general, we lived like all people, swearing and reconciling. We've always had very good sex. When my daughter turned 2, we got married. Before that, I proposed to her, but we decided to get married when my wife gets her figure in order. It was a very big event in our lives. We flew to the Maldives for a vacation. Upon arrival, we bought 2 cars. We went on vacation twice a year. In general, we did not deny ourselves anything. Our daughter turned 4 years old. My wife has changed her place of work. She was in search of a better place for herself. My wife has always wanted to have a successful career. In our relationship, I was never jealous of her and always let her go to clubs with her friends. My wife was free. In her relationship with her ex-husband, she was like in prison. He didn't let go anywhere, shouted and made scandals about it. I didn't do it, so my wife always thanked me for it. After a while, we had financial problems. We began to go on vacation less often. In general, we began to deny ourselves a little more. But before that, we went to Europe and conceived a second child there. To be honest, I didn't want a second child. But my wife is the complete opposite. She insisted and said that it was time for a second child. After a while, my wife gave birth to a daughter again. I started spending less time with my family. We started quarreling a lot. My wife had a complicated personality, but I'm not an angel either. That's how we lived. I started drinking in the evenings and watching TV shows. But at the same time, I have always helped my wife. My wife said I was angry. She often went to corporate parties and nightclubs. At that time, I was sitting at home with the children. As a result, I began to notice that her boss was increasingly appearing in her story. I didn't attach any importance to it because I trusted my wife and I knew she wouldn't betray me. But if my wife cheats on me, she will immediately tell me about it. As a result, after another strong scandal, my wife was very offended with me and ignored me for 2 days. I am such a person that I can explode very quickly over a trifle. But just as quickly I step away and apologize. My wife, on the contrary, is very vindictive and cannot forget the offense inflicted on her for a very long time. After another quarrel, my wife said she couldn't live like this anymore. My wife's feelings for me have cooled. I'm sorry. But I don't love you anymore. my wife said. Then she added that she had rented an apartment and did not want to live together. That the last year of our life together was very difficult for her. I was shocked by what I heard. I tried to stop her. I humiliated myself and begged her not to leave for the sake of our family and our children. My wife thought about my words for about a week, but she decided to pack up and start moving. I asked her about it once. Are you going to your boss? Did you have something with him? My wife started crying and said that it was very painful for her to hear these words from me. She didn't expect me to think that of her. I could feel the lie in her words. As a result, she left and took our children. I was left all alone. I remember her words before she left. You're a very nice guy, but I don't want to live with you. As it turned out, her boss was always there for her. He nursed and supported her. My wife's boss is 15 years older than her. He has 2 marriages behind his back. My wife said that she was very interested and calm with him because he doesn't yell at her or offend her. At the same time, he understands her, listens, and talks. I was furious. My wife cried and asked me to forgive her. She kept telling me that I was very dear to her, but she didn't want to live with me. I started drinking a lot of alcohol because I was at a loss. I do not know how to describe my feelings. It's panic, rage. I was trying to get my wife back. By the way, she came to me a couple of times and we had sex. But my wife now lives with her boss and the kids. He also left his wife under the same pretext that he had cooled off. I don't forget the children and spend a lot of time with them. My eldest daughter is 7 years old. The youngest daughter is 10 months old. I thought a lot about this situation and decided to let my wife go. We had nothing to share. Everyone had their own apartments. I will never leave my children. I love them very much and will help them. My wife doesn't want to get a divorce. She says she is not ready for a divorce mentally. After a while, I myself asked my wife to let me go. My wife repeats to me that she is not ready for a divorce because I'm very dear to her. After a while, I stopped quarreling with my wife. I calmly call her and ask how the children are doing and when to take them to school. Recently, I saw my wife in the supermarket. She looked really bad. I asked what happened. My wife replied that she drinks 300 grams of wine every day for medicinal purpose. I asked what she was being treated for. In response, she said that her illness was stupidity. I smiled. In general, her expectations for a new life were not fulfilled. At the same time, I took up sports and stopped drinking. Sports helped me to be myself. I have learned to live and love life. In general, I do not know what to do. I make an effort to live a happy life, but I can't let my wife go because I love her very much. I often see my wife because she often calls me, comes to visit, and so on. But deep down, I know my wife won't be coming back. That's the situation. Can you tell me if I'm doing everything right? What should I do next? I read on the internet that I need to get rid of attachment and addiction. I found psychological courses that help people get rid of addiction. In my case, it's my wife, because I couldn't let her go. Anyway, I filed for divorce. It's very difficult for me, and these courses don't really help me. Give me some advice on what to do. How can I get rid of addiction as quickly as possible? At the moment, I'm living on my own and trying to get on with my life. I do not forget the children and help financially. The divorce was successful, but now the soul is even more difficult. Thank you for listening to my story to the end. I ask you not to judge me too harshly. I will be waiting for some good advice from you. If you like the story, subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. According to tradition, I want to wish our hero strength and patience. In your case, you will need time and support from close friends or relatives. I can recommend a good therapist. You should perceive the breakup of a relationship as the beginning of something new. Remember one thing, you didn't leave your wife. She gave up on you of her own free will, so you have a chance to go ahead. The fact that you started playing sports, you're a great guy, keep it up. Develop and make yourself better. But I want to say something else. You made a huge mistake at the beginning of the relationship. If a girl left her ex-husband and cheated on him with you, it is logical that your wife will sooner or later do the same to you. These are unsuitable girls for a relationship. Every man should know that if a girl cheats at least once, you can't stop this girl and you can't change her either. She will do it again and again. You chose this path yourself. Your situation can be called karma or boomerang. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.